Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and I hope everyone had a good weekend. And if you're in the U.S., I hope you had a great long weekend. I'm back to work, not quite as rested as I had hoped to be. So my youngest two children were very sick all weekend, so I spent a lot of time taking care of them. And I'm not feeling that great myself. So I'm gonna try my best to focus and be upbeat, even though I'm a little bit out of it. So I apologize in advance from just a little bit off today. The stuff we're working on today should be a little bit easier, especially because we have a pull request from Sebastian that already did a lot of the work. So the first part of this is going to be reviewing what was done in that pull request. So this will be kind of a nice overview if you've never done form validation on the client side with React. And that's what we will be working on today. So I think I put that in the description and on my tweet. But in case you didn't read it, actually it's in the title as well. But just to kind of explain, if you're not familiar with it, when you go to a form, as I can demonstrate, so I type in something like that, and then immediately I'm told that's not a valid phone number. That's what we're talking about, just validating the fields. So we've already implemented some things on the client side to check to make sure we have the right data, mostly for the file upload. But we also want to give the user immediate feedback, right? If we just relied, so I should, when it comes to forms, right? If you just rely on server side to do all your form validation, that's not a great user experience. It's secure in terms of not letting in, bad things into your server that can mess it up. But the user has to wait. They hit submit, and they have to wait for a response from the server to let them know whether or not, that they put in the right information. So, and if they hadn't, then most likely they're going to have to redo, everything again. What if they don't get a response back immediately? Say for whatever reason the response is delayed. They could think that they've submitted the form and everything's all right, and not realize until later on that it's not all right. So you could see, that's not the best. With the client side, you get immediate feedback like we just saw, which is great for a great user experience. I immediately know, oh wow, that's not a phone number. Definitely not a valid phone number there. So that's nice, but there's ways to bypass that and still submit, let's say this as a phone number. So the best thing we could do is to have validation on the server side and the client side. So today we're going to check out how to do that on the client side with React. If you're using something else, that's not React, you just have a plain HTML form using some vanilla JavaScript or jQuery or something, then it's not going to apply, exactly, but there may still be some things that are worthwhile to see that you could pick up from this. So I'm going to say hi to everyone in the live chat before we get started. Hey everybody. That's cool. I think I see some new names in there, so welcome. Jacob said, appreciate all these videos. Thanks, I appreciate you watching and saying that. Okay, so let's get started with this. I'm going to set my timer. We're going to go 25 minutes of kind of coding, explaining and coding, and then I'll do 5 minutes and go to the live chat, catch up with any comments or questions that you may have. In case you're interested. What's that? React is a library, not a framework. Did I say that? Somebody commented. Casp commented. React is a library, not a framework. Yeah. I don't really remember saying it, so maybe I said it was a framework. But anyway, yeah. I mean, sorry if I said that in the wrong way. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure what the difference between library and framework would be, like semantically. So, oh, okay, now I see. It wasn't me. It was further up in the live chat that it talked about framework. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't catch that immediately. But anyway, yeah, to tell you the truth, I hear framework and library thrown around like interchangeably, and I'm probably guilty of that as well. I don't really think about it when I say that. But I'm not entirely sure of what the definition is of each and where that line is where something falls into a framework or a library. So if I use them interchangeably, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be confusing about that, but I myself is somewhat confused about that definition. But in any case, we're going to learn how to do some stuff with React, regardless of what category it is. So, but I'll do my best to try to remember that React is a library. Let's see. I don't know why I have trouble with React. I don't really call jQuery a framework ever. I think I'm pretty sure I call it a library all the time. So just have to get that in my head. All right. So let's go ahead and start out. I do want to say for anyone watching on Instagram, check out the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel if you want to see the code for this. It's being live streamed right now. If you're watching later on, though, the recording will be available, and then the code is also available on GitHub. You can get the link to that in the YouTube video. This particular video is titled something. It's client-side React form validation. So you can check that out if you get a chance. Let's see. All right, so let's get to this. So you could see already how this works. We have similar things going on with email. We also have some things going on with our file upload. So let's see how we implement this first of all. So let's go to our package.json file. And you see we're using formsy, in particular formsy React, but also formsy MaterialUI, which is, it's pretty awesome that they have that. That makes things a lot easier. I'm going to say again, I said at the beginning, but I want to say it again so everybody knows that Sebastian did pretty much all the work. Actually, Sebastian has done all the work for this so far. I don't think I've changed anything for this yet. We'll probably add to it today. But Sebastian has done all this in a pull request, so I want to give him credit. Give him credit for that. And let's see. So we want to load these two, and of course these are available on GitHub to check out the documentation, but basically the formsy is going to check the validation, so we don't have to write all that ourselves. And then because we're using formsy MaterialUI, it integrates well with MaterialUI, which we're already using. And as you've already seen, it fits well. We do have some weird things going on here with spacing below here, which we can work on that later on. It's not, I mean, it doesn't break anything. It just looks a little bit odd that there's a lot more space than we really need there. But other than that, it looks really nice with MaterialUI. Okay, so we'll just start at the beginning of our service_request.js component. And this is the component that handles pretty much everything on this page. So we've brought in, let's see. There we go. I was trying to figure out where we brought in formsy. So we're importing formsy, and we're importing formsy text and formsy checkbox. So this will come into play a little bit later on, but we have our file extensions here. So these are the types, the file types. For a lot of the things that we do want to allow, I'm going to have to double check this list and make sure it is everything. But so far it looks, from just looking over it, it looks like this is everything that we do want to accept. Alright, so let's scroll down to where we're actually implementing some of this. So if we check out, there we go. Alright, so we have some extra things here that we didn't have before. So our validations, right, and our validation error. I wonder if I should do this. I guess I'll do it right now. I was thinking it might be easier to see what's changed if we just go from the if we go back to the commit where this was added. Actually, that might be, yeah, that might be the best way to do it. Yeah, let's go back. Let's go to this. So for the part at least where I just want to show what we've done so far, I think it will be best if we just can see the difference in GitHub. So I guess I can go back to the original pull request. There we go. Okay, so we've already checked out the package JSON. I'm gonna have to make this a little bit bigger. I'm sure it's hard to see. Whoa, that's a lot bigger. Okay. There we go. Okay, this is what we want to look at. So let's see. Okay, here we go. So there's some other stuff that happened in this pull request, so that's why I skipped over a lot, because it's not immediately related to form validation. Okay, and I actually did miss this going through on our originally when I went through. So we've wrapped everything in a formsy component. So I'm glad I did this, because this is obviously a key thing that I just missed. So we've wrapped everything in a formsy form component. Okay, so the actual structure has changed a bit, and so on valid submit, a lot of this is if you want more in-depth stuff, you can check out formsy on GitHub. But a lot of it is worded in a way that it's really self-explanatory. So if it's a valid submit, we just handle the form data, right, when it's submitted, which this is, we've already worked on that in a previous previous stream. If it's invalid, then we notify form error. So let's go, there we go. So when we notify form error, we just are opening up a dialog. So a modal's coming up, and I guess I could demonstrate this. So let's try to, so this is obviously not right. Let's try to submit. Okay, so please fill out this field. So you can see the tooltip comes up. Please fill out this field. And actually, I think I had mistakenly said that a modal comes up. It's not a modal. True, false. Check first and try again. Actually, this does seem like something. Yeah, that does seem like that would throw up the same modal as if we actually had like a form error come back from the server. But the thing is, this probably won't fire if we have the fields like this, right? Because it's going to come up with that tooltip first. So within our formsy component, right, we have formsy text, which is obviously for a text field. And so we have a lot of the same things as we had for our original MaterialUI components. We have our floating label text, right, name, value. So mostly the same stuff, but we've made this field required, right? So if we went to submit, I'll get rid of these so we don't get errors from that. But before, we could have just submitted this, just like this. But now, right, it will not let us submit, which is nice because before, on this, the live version of this, which is basically done with just jQuery, to make something required would have actually required a bit more code than that. But now, to make it required, I keep going over the wrong screen. Literally, all we have to do is just put required, right? So pretty easy now. And then for our validations, we just have the field type in there. So we're pulling in. Let me see if we're pulling in the data. We have a. So we now have a data file, but we may not actually be pulling it in yet. Let's check. Let me double check. Okay, we're pulling in that data in here. Great. So let me show you that file then, because I have it up here anyway. Or I did have it up. Let's see, let me make sure I still have it up. There we go. Okay, so now we've removed the data, a lot of the data, into this file, and by we I mean Sebastian. But so you could see, right? We have the name. We can put required true in here. That's why when we were pulling this in, and I'll just show you on this screen since we're here. Since we're pulling this in. Well, we're iterating over this data, and we're not directly obviously putting in true or false. We're pulling it from here, right? So if we wanted to make it required, we just change the data here in our data file, and we actually put in the error message as well. So that tooltip that comes up, we have control over what it says. We also have control over the type, right? So we've said this is email. This is alpha, right? So we don't want any numbers or like weird characters in the name. So this is just going to be regular letters, right? For our phone number, we just want numbers, so is numeric. And then for department, we want to allow both letters and numbers, so we say alphanumeric, right? So as I said earlier, it's really nice the way this is set up because everything is pretty straightforward. So that's our single line. The multi-line setup is pretty much the same way. So we go formsy text again. All right, so it's the same one, but we're going to say, where are we going to have multi-line? Somewhere in here we got to say it's multi-line. I can't see it right now. That's actually weird. So I'm pretty sure with the original MaterialUI components, we had to put somewhere in here that it was multi-line. Maybe I'm just not seeing it right now. Obviously, it's working, right? We can see that this is actually, is it multi-line? Maybe it's not. Hey, let's fix this right now. So I did have these as multi-line, but it looks like it's not letting me make this multi-line. So let's check out formsy, which I think I have up on another window. So there we go. So if you can't tell already, I'm actually reviewing this live. So as we're going over this, I'm reviewing. I was working on something else today and kind of saving this for the stream. So I expected that I would find some things that I wanted to change. So here's the first thing. Let me make sure this is formsy. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I thought I had formsy up already, but I guess I didn't. Alright, let's move this over, because that's not what we need. Oops. I think we have a link to, whoops, conversation. Sebastian included a link to everything. There we go. So we're going to check out formsy MaterialUI. I guess we'll just check out regular formsy. Okay. Okay. That's weird. Actually, I want to try this. Obviously, you could see as I was scrolling through, there wasn't anything there that was describing what to do. So what I'm going to do here is just check. Actually, it'll be faster to just do it like this. Let's just check out what it was before for our multiple inputs. Multi-line. Okay, so we just had to pass multi-line and that was it. So let's try to pass multi-line and see if it works. I think it's worth it to try that out, because if it works, it'll save us a lot of time in trying to find out the answer. Multi-line. Let's see if that does anything. There we go. Alright, awesome. Okay, I'm glad that works. So basically, if you want to use formsy text and make it multi-line, you just add multi-line. So just like the normal MaterialUI component. Okay, great. So now we have our multi-line components, but it works the same way in terms of validation, right? We could put our own custom error message, and then we can put our type for all of these. It's going to be, let's see, off numeric. The project budget, we've put numeric. This we may change this field. I'm going to leave it like this for now, but we may change this field. We're having some, let's see. Basically, for the budget, we could put in, some people put in a budget code for their department. Some people put in a dollar amount, but it's potentially people could describe what their budget is, because it could be contingent upon other factors. So we may want to switch this to is alphanumeric, but I'll need to check. I think I mentioned last week that, so this week I'm going to make a server and I'm going to put this up and it's going to be live, and then other people in my department can test it out. At that point I'll get some feedback on how we want to change these form fields, and this is one of the ones that may change. Alphanumeric. Okay. So great. You can see majority of these are just going to be alphanumeric. That's probably what you want normally when you have a multi-line input, because why would you want a multi-line input of just all numbers, right? You would normally wouldn't need that. Okay, so these are all our text fields with the validation. Like that's really easy validation. So I know I've tried to do my own validation before, usually with jQuery. It's so much harder than this, so I really appreciate how this is done. So much easier. I don't think we have, we don't have anything going on for the date picker, which is fine for now. I'll have to check and see how you can do date picker. I'm assuming that you can validate date pickers with formsy. We could check on that in a minute once we finish going through what's here already. Normally, if you would just use the date picker as is, it's going to format the date correctly. But potentially, I guess someone could try to enter in their date, disable. I don't know, just in case somebody has a way to try to enter in their date manually. We want it to be in the correct format. This is not going into a database or anything, so I'm not worried about the exact format coming through, but it needs to be readable and make sense. And the date, this may end up being a required field as well. Okay, so for our file input, we have accept, and then that's where these file extensions come in. But what we want, type file. Okay. So what I need to test out is the extensions. So I need to try to upload something that doesn't fit any of those extensions and see what happens. Alright, let me check my time. Okay, we got about 5 minutes. So let's test out this file upload. Because what I was getting before, let's see, I think, okay, it's not letting me accept this. It's not letting me, let me put in a file. Let's see. What I'm thinking will happen, and what I'm hoping will happen, is that it will also alert me. So let me see if I can, let's go all files. There we go. So let's say I do that. So right away, it let me know that I couldn't use that. But let's say I switched to all files, so I try to do something like this. I want to see, okay, nothing happens yet. Let's see if it, alright, it's going to make me fill this out. Is all this required? Okay. Let's see. No, I don't want my address. Alright. I didn't realize that all these is required. Is everything required right now? Oops. Alright, let's just fill out everything. Okay, so it looks like nothing's happening on that file input. So let me check out formsy. I want to make this a bit smaller because it's hard for me to read with it that big. Maybe it just doesn't have this. Examples. Alright, let me scroll through quickly. If it doesn't have anything for this, I guess we'll just skip over for now. Actually, whoops, there it is. I'm looking, here's the API reference. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, validations, numeric. Alright, so I'm not seeing anything about file input in here. So for now, let's just skip ahead. All right, and that's my 5 minutes. So let me go. Let's set my timer. We'll do a short break, 5 minutes. I'm gonna go into the live chat, which looks like there's a lot of activity in the live chat. So I'm gonna try to get through everything in 5 minutes. Then we'll go back to it. I think for now I'll skip over that file upload, and then I'll show what's going on here with this checkbox, and then we can go through and alter some things. I definitely don't want everything to be required right now. If we have time, we can come back to the upload files. What I would like to happen is that if someone tries to upload something that's not supported, it immediately tells the user that it's not supported. All right. Okay. Let's see. Text editor looks amazing. Currently use brackets. Do you recommend Atom as a better text editor? The question is, do you recommend Atom as a better text editor? Better than brackets? I've never used brackets, so I can't make any comparison between the two. I like Atom. I've been using Atom for years. I've also tried Visual Studio Code. I like it. It seems really fast. I'm happy with Atom, but I think there's a lot of good alternatives. So I would be fine recommending Visual Studio Code as well. The only reason I don't use it right now more than I already do is just because I have so many packages already set up with Atom, and my syntax highlighting, you just get used to it a certain way, and I just haven't taken the time to set up Visual Studio Code in the same way. If you're not happy with your current editor, then Atom's a great thing to switch to. The only complaint I've heard from Atom is some people say it's slow. I haven't really had a problem with it being slow for me. It probably also depends on your machine, and how good your computer is. I'm on an iMac right now that has, pretty decent amount. I think I'm running like 32 gigs of RAM or something. That's a lot. So I don't really have problems with it. But if you use Atom and you notice that it's a bit sluggish, then I would recommend maybe going with Visual Studio Code, because it does seem faster to me, at least in the little bit that I've used it. But there's a lot of other good editors. I've heard good things about Sublime. People that use Vim seem to really love Vim. I haven't taken the time to learn that yet. One day I'd like to mess around with it and see if I could learn it. There's, what else? People who use Emacs really love Emacs. So I guess I've never even attempted to use Emacs, so I can't speak personally about it, but I feel comfortable with saying, Atom's worked well for me, and I like it. I don't know if it's the best or not, but it serves its purpose well for me. Okay, so it looks like there's some discussion about the React license, and so I'm not. Yeah, I'm not necessarily. I don't think there's any questions in regard to that. Let me double check. Yes, I don't think there's any questions directly for me, but just in general, there's been a lot of controversy over the React license. From what I understand, and this is also reiterated in the live chat, is that there's something in the license about giving up the right to sue Facebook if you're using React, or I think there's also some other Facebook code that is licensed in a similar way. Basically, like, you can't sue Facebook if you're using that. So I'm not sure about the details. I'm not a patent attorney. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know. But it seems to me like it's, in most cases, this is just my take personally on it. So, check it out for yourself. But it seems to me that in most cases, you wouldn't really need to worry about it. I'm not worried about it for what I'm using it for. So I think it would just depend on your use case, your company, who you're working for. So, but it's definitely worth. I think it'd be good to check it out, understand what's going on before you use React in kind of a larger project. I think it's still fine to use it, certainly on, small side projects, things like that. At least from what I've heard, it should still be fine for most people. All right. I'm just scrolling through the last little bit here in the live chat before we start up again. There's some mention of potentially using Preact or Vue.js as an alternative. I think someone mentioned Angular as well. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to get through everything because there's a lot of stuff in the live chat right now. I'll check it back after the next 25-minute session. It looks like somebody asked about knowledge of React in regard to this stream. So yeah, it would help to understand what's going on if you had some knowledge of React, but it just depends on what we're working on. So sometimes we work on, even though it's a React project, sometimes we work on parts of the project that don't have that much to do with React. So you don't need to know React to understand what's going on. A lot of it is just regular JavaScript stuff, or sometimes we're working on the server, which we're using Node for, which is more JavaScript. And so it kind of just depends on what we're working on. Today, some of the stuff is, I would say probably most of the stuff today is more unique to React, but not unintelligible to someone who hasn't used React. Okay. And let me, I was going to write down where I'm leaving off at, but I can't seem to find a pen, so let me bring up my note. I've been using Google Keep for notes lately, so I'll just write down the timestamp of where I'm at in the live chat in Keep, since I can't find a pen. All right. Oh, cool. Aim High said hi. So, hey, Mark, how's it going? All right, let's go back to this. I've already taken up more than my 5 minutes of time. Okay. And you have to excuse me for a second. My throat's really, it's hurting today. My mouth's getting dry. I need to stop and take a drink here. Okay. Okay, so the last thing that I want to go over before we really start getting into it and making some changes is this checkbox here. So we worked on this earlier. By earlier, I mean maybe a few weeks ago in a stream, but we want people to read the planning guide first. So you can see this is completely disabled. So I'm clicking this right now. Nothing's working. It's grayed out until we check that. Now you can use that. So I like how this is. I may add. I think it'd be nice to make the cursor change and maybe a tooltip come up that says, you know, hey, you gotta read the planning guide, something like that. Yeah, I'd like maybe to give some indication to the user if they're confused as to why this isn't working, that they need to check this first. But other than that, this is working as expected. So not only is this a required field, but you know, it goes even further, that it completely disables the submit button if you haven't checked it. So let's check out how that's done. We'll scroll down to the bottom here. So we have, here we go. So we've used the formsy checkbox component instead of the normal checkbox, and obviously, you know, we've added required, we've named, but we've also, let's see, and this may not be related to formsy. This may be something that Sebastian did on his own. So I suspect it is something like that, and I don't think he's in the live chat, so I don't think he can verify that, but I'm pretty sure this is something he did on his own. But it's a nice feature, so we'll go over it because it is, you know, we're validating that this is checked. So let's look enable submit. So basically on change, we're enabling submit. So let's go up and check out that function. Enable submit. Okay, so if it's checked, we're going to set the state, the can submit state, to true. If we're unchecking it, we want to set it to false. All right, so pretty simple. And we could see by default it's false. And then let's check our submit button. Here we go. Okay, so we have this disabled property, and we're just checking for if we can submit, and you know, we want to do the opposite, right? So if it's can submit is true, we want this to be enabled, right? So that's why we're doing the opposite. So if can submit is true, then this value is going to be false. And if it's not true, right? So if it's unchecked and it's not true, then it's going to end up registering as true, so disable true, right? So pretty straightforward. I really like how Sebastian did that. It's so simple. I mean, and it gets the job done. It's great. So that's basically all we have going on right now for form validation. So what I want to do now is, I know there are certain things that are not going to be required. Let's see, require false. Yeah, let's just put in false for some of these, and then that way, if we need to go and test the form later on, it'll be a lot easier. Primary target audience. I'm going to say false for a lot of these now. Project budget. I'm going to say false now, but that's likely to change. Project goal. Project description. Now that I look at these, I kind of don't really like how they're, a lot of how they're worded, but I'm not going to change anything right now, because initially when I did this project 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago I started this project. At least not this particular React project, but the version of this that's live right now that was done with jQuery. It's basically kind of like a single page application, but just done with jQuery to handle all the different views. There was a lot of debate as to what these form fields would be and how they would be worded. So I'm not going to just change anything on my own without checking, because it was a big deal as to what everything, what it all said. I'm going to leave the description as true. We need something to go by, so we're going to need the description, the department. I'm going to leave that as false right now just for the sake of testing the form, but that will probably end up being true. Phone, email. I'm going to go with phone being false, but I definitely want an email. And if we make the email required, then this will be better. So on the server side, we're sending an email, and I want to send an email to the user. So I don't really even want to have to worry about there not being an email. Obviously, I'm gonna have some type of default if we don't get an email, because someone could circumvent the client-side validation, but I'd like the user to put in an email so that we could send them an email verification and get a hold of them later. So name required true. Let's format this in the same way as the other ones. There we go. Okay, name true, false, and we want the name to be required as well. Let's go down here and check out these checkboxes. Okay, great. So I'm going to save that. So here's what I'd like to work on now. Let's see if there's a way, and we may have to do this on our own and not use formsy, which is fine. But assuming that formsy does not have a way to do this on file uploads, what we need to do then is on change. Since we already have an on change handler, let's just do this in our on change. So when we do with the handle file path, we're going to need to check the file type against these extensions, and then display something to the user if they've tried to upload something that's not on the allowed list. All right, so this handle file path. Okay, let's check out this handle file path. So we should be able to get files. Let's see if we can get I'm doing this the wrong way here. Let's see, files.map. Let's go with this. I think we can go with I want to see if we can get the type right from here. So what we're doing here then is, as we can see here, we have this files object that we get back from our upload field, and we can get the name of the file off of it. I think we can get the type just by doing type, but I want to double check by console logging. I actually have two different ideas. Right now, since we have all those types, I want to use those. So if we can get the type and it matches up with the format of the types that we already have saved here, then that would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to grab the name and then get the file extension from the end of the name, and then we'll go to our server.js, and we have a list of allowed extensions there. We could copy that over and use that. Either way will work. So probably won't matter what we do there. It's going to work. Ooh, file is not defined. Why is file not defined? Files. Oops. Files.map. There we go. Okay. Let's check out. Here's our console. So let's try to upload some stuff. There we go. Okay, so we are getting the file type. I'm interested to see what the type is, what type it says when I do this. Image.xx. Okay, great. So we are getting what we want from here. So we will be able to work with what we already have. Let's see. I want to see what format we have this in. Extensions. Oh, okay. This is just a string. All right, that's fine. We can work with the string. All right. So let me take a step back and just explain what's going on here. Especially if there's someone who's kind of a beginner or doesn't really understand some of the EX6 stuff. Or file upload stuff. So there's a lot of different things going on here that you may not have been exposed to. So we're doing handle file path. We're using arrow functions. So this is just a function, and as a parameter, we're passing in the event. Okay, we're using the arrow function. The main advantage to this, other than being concise, is that it binds this in a way in React that we want this to be bound. Although I don't even think. Yeah, we are. So you see here we're using this set state. If we use a regular function and try to call this set state, let's see, I don't think it would work. Yeah, we would have to bind this somewhere else if we wanted to use a regular function. So in particular, we'd have to bind it in a constructor. But I'm not going to go into that right now. We've talked about that in previous streams. So anyway, I think an arrow function here is the best way to go to accomplish what we want to do in as few lines as possible. But if you're not familiar, it's just a shorter way of writing a function. So for our purposes, we really just need to know what's going on here right now. So we're setting this constant as files, and anytime you see const or let, think variable. Okay, there's some things going on with scope and mutability, whether you want to use const or let, but it's just another way to make a variable. So we have this target.files, right? So our event target that we've passed in the event, all right, and we're just grabbing the files from that. Okay, so now we have an array of files, and it might be easier if I console log what's going on here. Let's do that. Let me put in some console logs. I think it'll be. I usually get things a lot easier if I can see it. So let's put in console log. Let's just put in event for now, and I think we should be able to see everything we need to from that. So let's try to upload multiple files here. Okay, great. So we have. Okay, so here's our event, right? And we can access target. And then, let's see if we can find this. What are we getting here? So event, target, files. Am I not going to be able to get this? Target. I might have to go down another one. Let's go. Let's get event target. Okay. Okay. So here we go. Our event target is simply our input, right? So we're selecting our input, and then we're getting our files off of that. So one more time, I'm going to change this. Files. Okay. There we go. So now you can see what we're getting. We have an object, and we're getting our files, and then we have some values from there. Right, so we have our name and we have our type, right, our file size. So we have a lot of useful values in here, especially useful for our validation. So that's what we're getting, right, and that's what we're doing here. I guess just to show you the difference of what's going on here, let's throw this target files. There we go. This will hopefully be the last time we need a console log for demonstration purposes. Okay. Alright, so you see before we had an array, now we have, or before we had an object, now we have an array of objects, right? So that's just for the purposes of being able to iterate over it using map, what we're using here. Alright, so that's all we did there. So now we're already grabbing the file names and we're using that to display. So we're not using the default upload field. That's just the default HTML field because it's not pretty. So since we're using something different, these are two different inputs. This is a multi-line input, and we're actually grabbing the file names from our upload input and then putting them into this field here. That's why we need to do that. But it's nice that we're already doing that because a lot of the stuff we need for validation is already written out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab that type, which we've been console logging already, and let's get rid of this. We don't need it anymore. So now what we need to do is check for every file, we need to check the type and make sure that that type is included in our list of allowed file types. If it is, then we're not going to do anything. It's just going to go through as normal. If it's not, then we want to show the user some feedback. So for now, let's just get the check working. Then we'll decide how exactly we want to show the feedback to the user. I just saw Praveen in the live chat just asked, is it React.js? Yes, it is React.js. Okay. So let's go with, and I'm gonna have to check the syntax on this because I always get it wrong. Actually, I could just check in server.js because I've used it. So where's our server? Here we go. Alright, match. We use match. We don't really need match, I guess. Yeah, we can use this. So yeah, let's use this. I was just checking because I can never remember the order. So you can see the difference between, with match, we put in first like the name of the file, and then we type in like what we want to match it against. With test, it's opposite. First we have our list of what we want to match it against, and then we have our individual value. So I just wanted to double check that. So that's what we're going to do. So what we want to do is, actually let's console log. Let's console log this for now so we can see if it's working. So for this, we want to do our, and I don't remember what the name is. There we go, our file extensions list. Actually, no, this isn't how we want to do it. Actually, we do want to do this a little bit different from what we are doing. So files, is that what we had? I forgot it again, sorry. File extensions. And then we're going to do file f.type. Alright, let's see what it does. I think I'm confusing myself as to which one goes where. But let's just check it out for now. Whoa, after test is not a function. Yeah, I think I put that backwards. Attentions. F.type. Okay, let's try it this time. Now again, I'm doing something wrong. Let's try it with match. And I may have to switch it around. Okay. Okay. This will work. I don't know what I was doing wrong with tests, but this is fine. This will work too. So you can see we're getting values. All right, so in this case, we're getting an array. If it matches, if it doesn't match, we're getting null. So an easy way to check this is just, so we'll go, let me see where my, if it is, let's see, dot length is greater than 0, then actually let's just return this. Let's just match length greater than 0. This should be sufficient. Oops. Whoops. Can't read length of null. Okay. Alright, so we are getting true there. Let's just change it then and say type length. Alright, this should give us what we want. Oops. Okay, there we go. That's what we want. So we tried to upload 2 pings and then 1 XCF file. So we got 2 trues because pings are on the list, and then false because XCF is not on the list. So that's the behavior that we want. Let me check my timer. Did that go off? Or did I just forget to set it? Let me see what time it is. No, that definitely went off. Okay, let's take a short break. And sorry about that. I just did not hear that at all. Alright, I'm going to go back to the live chat right now. And try to catch up. I'm going to scroll back up to where I left off. Let's see. Okay, we were where I left off at. We were talking a little bit about code editors, and I was saying that I've heard that Atom is a little bit slow, but it runs fine on my machine. And Blake said Atom is pretty sluggish on his machine. Shrujon asks, which coding software are you using, sir? If you're talking about my code editor, it's Atom. If like in general, for this project we're using React. Okay, Krillik says, I just tried Atom code editor, and in my opinion, it is terrible comparing with brackets. Okay, so yeah, I've never used brackets before. So like I said, I can't do a comparison, but that's good to know. Like I said, I'm not going to switch to anything else right now until if I get some time, let's say I'm in between projects or something, and I have time to really try to set up a different editor the way I like, then I'll think about switching. But for now, since Adam's working for me, then I'm going to stick with it. All right, Matt said, what are you doing with the image uploads? Planning on displaying them elsewhere? Actually, no, I didn't have any plans on displaying the image uploads anywhere. It would be cool. It would be a cool feature, and this will just go on like the nice to have list of, if we have time, I'll put it in there. But it might not be a bad idea to display thumbnails of the images when they're uploaded. That would be kind of nice to do. But for now, the only kind of feedback, the only thing we're doing with the images for now are they're just going to be stored on the server, and they're going to be sent to the project management system that we use. Okay, I've actually got through. I've got through to the bottom of the live chat, so and I still have 1 minute left. Okay, so I'll probably just do one more Pomodoro session. We'll see how much we can get done with this file uploader. And hopefully we can get it finished, or at least to a point where kind of displaying something. I mean, right now it basically works. We're getting the result we want. We just need to do something visually. But like I said, we'll do one more session, and then I'll answer any questions that any of you have in the live chat. Here we go. So let's start up our session. I think what I'd like to do, I'd love it if we had the same style of, let's see. So, not that one. Let me see. So, this. I think something like this would be great to have for the file upload. Or, at the very least, something like this would work as well. So it would turn this line red, and then underneath it would say that it's not a valid file extension. Actually, Alright, so I guess here's what I was just thinking. I wonder if I could just use the formsy validation on this, because this is just a multi-line input, and somehow give it a whitelist of file extensions to check. Then, I mean, we already have it working for the file uploads, but then we wouldn't even really have to check here. The only, I mean, potentially you could probably get around this, but for the normal user who's not trying to get around it, that's really what I'm worried about here, is giving them useful feedback immediately. I think it would work, and it might be easier to implement. So let's check it out. We'll just try something here. There we go. Here's our file upload. Okay, so right now this is just the text field and it's not the formsy field. Validate. Let me check out. Let's check this out. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. We could do a custom validation. Okay, so it looks like we can use this. We can use this function within validations and do whatever we want to validate that. That's it. This is exactly what we'll need. Okay. Well, I'm not really sure other current values in the form. Number 5. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is what we'll need. I'll go through JSON parts, converting the correct JavaScript. I think this might be what we need. Okay. Alright, let's try this out. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that this would be the best thing for us to use. So let's try it out on our multi-line. Here we go. Validations, and then let's give it validations error. Alright, let's just try this just to see if we get the error, which we should. Nah, we're not getting the error. Oh, I didn't switch it to a formsy component. Okay, so it just needs to be formsy text. Alright, I probably need text label. Let's see if it works. Not working. Alright, what am I doing wrong here? Oh. The name is marked as required. Okay, so we need a name. Alright, let's see if that works now. Okay. Does not have the validation rule is in. That's odd. We get that from Alright, let's see what this is. Validators. Alright, maybe we want to try. Alright, let's try a regular expression then. Alright, so let's go to our server.js and let's see. Actually, I don't want to match it. Turns if the value is truthful. Let's try this. Oops. Okay. Validation match. Oops, it's not what it was. All right, cool. Let's see if we can get it to not be an error. All right. You know what though? This isn't gonna work. Because we could do this. Oh, we could do this and make it work. Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to be the answer. Okay, so let me explain. I guess I haven't really been explaining what I was doing too much. Sorry about that. So what I had done successfully was use this regular expression to check that the end of the string of file names that we have here contains one of these extensions, which is great. That worked, but logically that's not really what we want to do, because like you could see here, as long as I put a file name at the end that does contain this, a valid extension, I can put whatever I want here. So that's not going to work. So that's not what we wanted. So you may have to go back to we may have to go back to what we were originally working on. So what I want to what I want to check to make sure, see if it works, is could I just put in true or false? Validations. If I were to use this and then let's see if we can return return false. Let's see if we can get it to return the error. Okay, so that returns false automatically. Okay, returns true. Alright, so as long as we return that from that function, let me see if I can just return, see if I can just return false. Alright, I can't just do that. Okay. Alright, so let's just go back to this. So now we should be able to just grab the our value from what we were doing up here. Let's see. Okay, so when we were doing the handle file path, we should be able to let's see if this works. Let's add something to state. This set state file input. invalid, or now you know what, we have a loop here. Let me see. What we may need to do, files map. Alright, so mapping over this. Alright, so here's what I'm going to try to do. As this gets looped through, if any of the files in here don't match, so if it returns false, then we're going to change it in state. So we're going to save a value in state, and we're going to either, basically if any of them are false, then that value in state is going to be false. Okay, and initially, yeah, so initially this is going to be set to true because we don't want to show an error right off the bat. So true, and then we're also going to data handle file path. We're also going to set it let's set it to true. This set state. Alright, I want to set this to true right off the bat because if a user puts files in there, it's going to get set to false. But then if they do it again, I want to set back to true. And then if it checks everything, it's going to keep it at true. And then within this, let's see. I don't want to console log that anymore. What I want to do is no. So if true, I guess now what we want to do is just short circuit and all we want to do is take false, right? So state form. All right, let's see what we have. What errors we have. Form dot file valid. Can I not do that when I set state? Let me see. Alright, so I'm getting an error now. I'm trying to do form.file valid true. But I'm getting an error, so I guess I can't do it like that. Alright, so I guess I can't do nested stuff like that. Alright, so let's go with set state. I can't do that. Okay. Okay. Formsy. False. Alright, let's see if that at least got rid of the errors. No. Extension, stop match. Without the 10 seconds. What did I do? There we go. Alright, I think I messed something up inadvertently with my syntax. Let's see. Alright, so that looks good. Shouldn't have to put this. Let's see. Yeah, why is it doing this? Okay, I'm pretty sure my timer went off. Yeah, it did go off. I hate to end on this note. Syntax error. But, yeah, I'm not sure what I did. Let me. I'm just going to take a minute and see if I can fix this. If not, I'll probably just end the stream and do some more troubleshooting. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, let's see if I can. Then try this. Not gonna do anything. All right, let's see if we get that same error again. No, okay. All right, that's better. It just, I guess it didn't like that I was trying to do that short circuit. Okay. All right, I guess I'm gonna go for a few more minutes, see if we can get this working since I figured that out. I don't think this is the best way to do it. At least it seems like it's a lot more than should be needed, but since I couldn't set state the way that I originally tried to set state, and I actually can't believe that I had never had a need to do that before, because I don't remember running into that problem before. So I'm going to try to do it this way, which is basically the way we're doing it down here already, so we know it works. All right, so I just want to see what's going on with the state when we do this now, just to test out what we're doing so far. So we're going to check in DevTools, React, and we should be able to, let's see, there we go. State form file input file valid true. Okay, let's try to put in something that's not true. All right, great. So we see file valid went to false. Now let's cancel it. Good, and now it went to true. Awesome. Okay, so that is acting how we want it. So now we have in state this value that goes true or false depending on whether or not the file that's put in is valid. Great. And that's checked against the types that we have here. Okay, so the next step then is to return whoops, passed it up. There we go. We need to return in here in this function. Let's go return validation. This is another place where I think there's got to be a better way to do this. But let's see. I'm not even sure if I'll be able to get the value of this here. This state form is file valid. All right, let's see what happens. Alright, turn property form. Okay. Um, hmm. All right, let's check out formsy's. I'm thinking there's got to be a way to just set, instead of having to use this function, there's got to be a way that I can just set true false on the validation. I hate to just read documentation on the stream, but we're so close to getting this. So LOLs is it's almost 2 hours. Can we end, please? Because you have to go to the bathroom. If you got to go to the bathroom and then come back, that's cool. If you miss what happens, you could always check the replay. So, do I need to include bathroom breaks into the streams if they get long? All right. Let me check quickly here if there is some way to set this. Let's see. No, that's not what I was looking for. Set value. Where's our validators? Let's see. MaterialIzeCSS email. Matches bypassed. Sure. Well, I don't think I'm seeing anything. Add validation rule. Oh. Okay, maybe we can add a rule. Let's see. Okay. maybe this create add validation rule is the way to go for us. Add validation rule. Although this doesn't really seem different than what we're already doing. It's just extracting it out. So maybe we just need to figure out... I don't even really need this value. We don't need this. Maybe the problem is trying to get this in here. What if... I wonder if I could make this an arrow function. Will this work? We'll see. I'm really not confident that this will work, but the only thing I can think of as to why it's telling me that what did I just do? Let's see what kind of syntax errors I get now. Dang it. Let's see. Whoa, that actually did not give me an error. Maybe it'll work. Alright, so let's try to upload something that should give us an error. Let's see what happens. Nice. Now let's cancel it out. What? Oh man, it worked. Let's try it with multiple files. I don't think we tried that yet. Great. Let's cancel that again. Yes. All right. Okay. So, although I wasn't really confident in what I was doing, it worked. So that was the case. Is that originally how this was written? Basically, we just copy and pasted from the docs there. So that's not exactly what we needed. We needed to be able to have this be what we wanted it to be. So we had to use that arrow function. When we did that, it worked. So great. So it worked. So basically, we have our validation now immediately for the file upload. Great. Great. Probably would be cool to have a message. I don't know, I'm thinking like to make this better, it might be cool to have the message actually say what file is the file you can't upload. But for now, it works. I mean, this is entirely functional and does the job as is, but it can definitely be made better. Well, I'm happy I got that working because I was starting to think I would not get that working before the end of the stream. All right, so the stream went a little bit longer than I thought. Okay, so John B just pasted in here a possible error. So error file type XCF not supported. Yeah, that's definitely that's like what that's exactly what I was thinking. So yeah, I think that's possible. I'm not going to try to do it right now since the stream's already been 2 hours, and to be honest with you, I'm really exhausted. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not really feeling well, and this These streams take a lot out of me because I try to at least seem like more energetic, even if I don't feel energetic, and that that effort alone takes a lot of energy. So, all right. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna scroll up a bit and try to see if there are any questions that I missed. Firesky says thanks for the stream. You're welcome. Thanks for watching and being involved in the live chat. So yeah, if you were just here for the code, then and you gotta go, totally understand. Thank you so much for watching, and I should be back tomorrow, unless I feel even worse than today, and then I might take a day off. But otherwise, if you have any questions, please put that in the live chat now. I don't think there's a ton of questions in the chat, so it'll probably only take me a few minutes to get through. And when I get through everything, then we'll end the stream. Feel free to ask whatever you want. If you're new, don't be afraid to ask something. Really any questions, even if it seems really basic, is totally fine with me. I try to be really beginner friendly in here. Okay. I was reading some comments about the person that had to go to the bathroom, so that's why I had a little laugh there. I don't think I'm going to repeat them all, though. Okay, John B., I just saw your comment about the right-hand brace is way on the right. Thanks for that. I didn't notice it at the time, but that was definitely one of the errors that I got there. So thanks for noticing that. That was a good catch. I didn't even notice it at first. Firesky says, hey, you could just move your logic with file valid inside this custom validator, so you get rid of external file valid and your component will be compact. Okay, I could check that out. I'm not 100% sure what that would look like right now. I'd have to check with the code, but thank you for the suggestion. I'm definitely sure this could probably be refactored to be better. Usually that's how it is. When I code things on the stream, I'm trying to go quickly, so I don't usually even make an attempt at refactoring anything. So actually, that's a good disclaimer. So just so you know, especially if it's starting out, the code that comes out during the stream is probably not like ideal all the time, but usually it ends up getting better as we go on. So either somebody submits a pull request and refactors it, or if I get a chance, I refactor it later on. So the finished product is usually what you'd want to go with. But I think the stream would be really, really long. It's already pretty long, but it would be really long if I tried to go back and refactor everything. So just kind of be aware that there's probably a better way to do a lot of the stuff that I do during the stream. Oh, Rory said something's going on with freeCodeCamp, can't get online. Okay, I'm not sure. I haven't tried to get onto freeCodeCamp yet today, and I don't have anything to do with the freeCodeCamp website or the servers, so I'm sorry I can't give you an update on what's going on right now. I would check the freeCodeCamp Twitter, because they're usually pretty good about putting out some sort of message on Twitter as to if something's happening and when you can expect to get back on. So I would check there. Hopefully there's some type of update on their Twitter. Brian, it looks like Brian, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so it looks like Brian O'Driscoll says, hi guys, joining the party a bit late, but I can catch up on videos, repeats. Jesse, you're on a roll today. Thanks. Yeah, it was a struggle for a little bit, but we got it working. So, so thanks. A couple of people saying thanks for the stream. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Umberto says, definitely understand using so much energy during the stream. I finished recording my first official video last night, 1.5 hours of recording, and found that the screen capture didn't... Oh, no. This is, oh, well, I recorded a silent version of the work. I did that thinking I'm going to do a voiceover. Okay, well, that's cool. Man, that stinks when you record stuff and it doesn't work. A few weeks ago, I was trying to record a tutorial video for a client, and it was really late, and I was like, yes, I'm finally going to get this done. It's the last thing I have to do for this client. And then I checked, and I had my settings way off, and the video quality was just so terrible you couldn't even read anything. And I still haven't re-recorded it. I was just like so let down by that. And I haven't really had time to get back to it. Alright, so it looks like one more question. So Alexander asks, what's the purpose of the views folder? So it's probably hard to see because it's so small over here, but in my project I have things separated out. So I have a styles folder, a components folder, and I have this views folder. The purpose of the views folder is basically that each component in the views folder acts like a page in the actual site. So you can see the names of each of the views components corresponds to the name of a page. So this is the service request component. We have a home component. I think we have a home component. A logos component. So that's what the views do. So each component of the views folder is a different view. So hopefully that makes sense. You certainly don't have to organize it like that. I just do, and I was kind of used to it from when I used Next.js. Each, they did their routing based on the components. So I guess I kind of carried that over from the last project I did using Next, of having a component for each view, separated out, Okay. All right. Well, it's a White Knife says hi. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for watching. Oh, okay, awesome. So I got the name right from earlier. Well, I got it right the first time. So it's Brian then, I think. Is that what you're saying? All right. I'm definitely gonna end things now. I'm getting really tired, so thank you so much for watching. I'll be, like I said, I'll be back. Hopefully, I'm feeling better tomorrow, and I'll be back. I'll be back into work, and I could do, hopefully, be a little bit more with it during the stream. But it took a while. In the end, we did get working what we wanted to get working. So we do have form validation on everything we need to on our form, including the upload, the file uploader. So it's looking pretty. We're pretty close to having this finished up. At least finished up enough to get some feedback on and make some changes before we actually launch this thing. So actually, I just got 2 more questions. Let me do this real quick. Since I got 2 more questions here. So Zachary says, hey, could you make a Discord JS tutorial series? I don't really know anything about it, so if I learn about it, then I could definitely do a tutorial series, I guess. But right now, I don't know enough to be comfortable doing a tutorial. And Rishba Bob says, sorry, I'm getting that wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm getting that name wrong. But it says, why is Ubuntu better than Windows? I don't really think I can give you a great answer for that. There's so many factors that go into choosing an operating system. If you're thinking about it for an OS, for like a desktop OS, potentially it could be for servers as well. They have Windows Server. But right off the bat, Ubuntu's free. So that's one reason that I would think it's better. But it totally depends on what you're trying to use them for as to whether or not one would be better than the other. So anyway, sorry I couldn't give you a better answer for that, but I think that would be a better question to kind of debate and get some more feedback on. But right now, we can't have the debate. So maybe ask that question again towards the beginning of the stream, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of answers from everybody in the live chat. All right, so this time for real, I'm going to end the stream. Even if I get more questions, I'm going to end it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.